Good evening, everyone. My name is Ayelet Fishman. I'm the Dean of Students and a professor at the Faculty of Biotechnology and Food Engineering. It is my pleasure to moderate this panel of international students as part of the Board of Governors' annual meeting. Let me introduce them to you. Michal Amar from the US, a third-year student at the Faculty of Aerospace Engineering. Luis Antonio Quesada Jimenez from Costa Rica, a third-year student at the Faculty of Civil Engineering. Avital de la Richa from Italy, a fourth-year student at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. And Simon Margulis from the US, a second-year student at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have over 1,000 international students at the Technion, studying in special tracks taught in English at the Faculties of Mechanical and Civil Engineering. Technion International promotes the undergraduate program internationally via info sessions to high schools, student fairs, partner organizations, as well as via Technion International's Ambassador Program. To get a glimpse of the life of an international student on campus in this very unique time, let us turn to our panelists. Before we talk about these issues, please tell us a little bit about your background and the decision to choose the Technion. Michal, please.
Hi, I'm Michal LaMar, and I'm from Florida, US. And I chose to come to Technion because in my high school, we participated in the Rube Goldberg competition, and we actually won. And it introduced me to the world of Technion and engineering in Israel and Startup Nation and everything. And I wanted to be part of it.
Great, thank you. Luis, what about you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Quesada. I am from Costa Rica, and I knew that I wanted to study abroad. I didn't know where exactly, and I decided I wanted to apply to a different country. So I started to do different standardized exams, the TOEFL, the SATs, and through those exams, I got, I don't know if Technion has a partnership with one of those exams, because through them, they contacted me and they offered the opportunity to apply to Technion and to different universities here in the Middle East. So I checked on all of them. The best was Technion. So I decided that I wanted to apply, and 3 years after, I'm here, almost done with my degree.
Great. Avital,
Hi,
tell us about yourself.
My name is Avital. I'm from Rome in Italy, and I came to Technion 4 years ago. So I was very interested in studying engineering. I felt it was a perfect combination between sciences and physics to apply them to the real world. And I figured that Technion was a very good place that really matched all my interests. And it was my brother suggested it since he also studied here, and he told me it was a very good place to grow on a social and academic level.
So it's a family issue in your home. Simen, what about you?
Thank you. My name is Simen. I'm originally from a suburb of Chicago. About 5 years ago, I actually made Aliyah, and I served in the Israeli Defense Forces. And after serving and living in Israel for a few years, I realized I wanted to continue my education and stay in Israel for the time being. And having served in the tanks, I really fell in love with heavy machinery, and I knew engineering was the way to go with my education. And then on top of talking to other friends and doing my own research, I realized Technion is one of the best places to get an engineering degree. One, being surrounded by a lot of the other brightest minds in Israel and other very serious students that would really help me get some of the best education.
Great, thank you. So living abroad during a pandemic is challenging, let alone studying abroad. Luis, can you tell us a little bit about the challenges you faced as an international student during the COVID-19 pandemic here?
So studying online, it's difficult, especially in that time that we couldn't even go out for a walk or for a run. There was a period that we couldn't go out of 500 meters from the house. And personally, I love sports. It's one part of who I am. That was a challenge.
Okay. So Avital, tell us a little bit about your challenges. How did you cope with the COVID-19 pandemic as an international student in the Technion?
So first of all, the main challenge was on an academic, from an academic point of view, was the classes itself. Since they were on Zoom, it was very hard to focus And especially because it was my first semester that I was studying in Hebrew, I felt it was a bigger challenge to actually understand what the professor was explaining. Besides that, also like after you finish classes, there was still like nothing else you could do. You were still like in the same room. Like really the only thing you could do like to change every day was just doing class. I'm in class and then I'm doing homework. That was all. There wasn't like any kind of option to go out, any option to have fun, relax a bit. And also like I don't have family here in Israel. So it was challenging the fact that like I was not allowed to go back to Italy. Like I could go back and I'll come here. So
Simen, what about you?
I was actually in a bit of a unique situation. I got accepted at Technion and started studying in the middle of the pandemic in August of 2020.
Wow.
And at that time, I was living in America with my parents. So I did the first semester of my studies entirely online in America, which meant the closest classmate I had physically was about 500 miles away. Sorry, 800 kilometers. But they were very far, and it was, I'm much of a social learner. I like to work with other people and study with friends, so it was very difficult to be without anyone to study with. And so eventually, when I did come to Israel, starting in 2021, I knew nobody on campus. And classes were still on Zoom, and most things were closed, so it was very hard to meet people. And for the most part, all of my studies were just on Zoom, either watching classes online or studying with friends over phone calls. So it helped to be able to talk to people, but it was difficult to be in front of a computer screen all day.
What about you? How did you survive this COVID pandemic?
The hardest part for me was really being a black box student. You're just online all day, every day. The discipline itself wasn't so complicated. I felt I made myself a schedule, and I studied when I had to study and went to the park when I was able to and ate when I had to. But being in classes, you felt very alone and isolated in your room, and you couldn't really interact with other students or the professors. There was no eye contact like you would have in class. So if I was confused by something, you don't really want to ask the teacher in front of 200 students online something that you think everyone else is going to understand because it's simple. But in class, you know that the teacher would see the fact that you're confused by something and they would go over it again.
So hearing from your friends who chose colleges and universities in your respective homelands, what are the pros and cons of being an international student?
So first of all, like I think when I think about my friends in Italy, like they're all like still around the same people in the same places. So like on one side it's great. I miss some of that, but on the other side, I also feel like I gain much more than what they are doing, just because I met people from really all over the world. I learned people's point of view that like I didn't even think about before. Like now I can see what happens in some part of the world with a completely different mind. So I think like what you really learn is like how the world is, not just like from how you saw it when, like how your family saw it, how your culture sees it, but you see much more than that. And at the same time, you really improve yourself, because just when you go out of your comfort zone, you just have to like, you can't just keep staying at the same level. You have to like learn more things.
I believe that there are more pros than cons, especially for me. Before I came here, I just lived in a bubble. My whole world was Costa Rica, and that was anything I knew. But then coming here, meeting people from all over the world, you get new experiences. You learn that the world is not just a small country with 5 million people. Also, studying in a foreign language, it's not an easy thing to do. So you need to cope with many different things. But at the end of the day, I think it's a really good experience. And now I don't feel that I'm only from Costa Rica. I feel that I'm like a citizen from the world.
Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. Michal, what about you?
I love the cultural exchange. I think it's cool that you have so many people from around the world that you can just talk to and get a glimpse of their lives back at home and their languages and cultures. It's cool when you're working with people or solving a problem and you see just the different ways people think based on just their backgrounds or their upbringings. You see just how people have different perspectives on something you would think is so trivial. Israel is a hard place to be in. It's hard to deal with the language and the bureaucracy sometimes. The culture is a little bit hard to get used to, but when you do it with friends, it's manageable. It's good.
And how would you say the Technion supports you, or if you can relate to what you get out of specifically studying in the Technion?
It helps that in some of the classes that we are taking, we are not only international students. Sometimes we have Israeli students in the program, and it helps to meet them, to have not only to be with international students, just to also be part of the Technion as a whole, not the division between international school and Israel and Technion. So it's good that we have that meeting with those students. And
Simen, do you have any comment on that?
I think also Israel is a very diverse place. You know, almost everyone in Israel is an immigrant from either this generation or generations back recently. So it makes it a very welcoming environment for all of us to come here. And I think Technion is just a very diverse place with a lot of different cultures and backgrounds, regardless of the international school. So I think it's an incredible experience to get to learn more about the world here. But one of the other difficulties, coming from America at least, is learning what Celsius is and kilometers. I don't know what 23 degrees Celsius is.
So you translate everything to Fahrenheit and to miles?
Yeah, still do.
I think because we're in Israel, and Israel comes with its own culture and religions and holidays. So being Jewish, I celebrate all the Jewish holidays, and it's cool seeing everyone around you either join in or observe or just want to learn about your culture and your holidays, which has never really been a thing for me in the States. No one wanted to learn about my religion or observe my holidays. So it's cool welcoming people to your culture also, not just learning from other people, but also being someone that people can learn from.
Thank you. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, and what experiences do you think you'll take from the Technion?
That's a good question. 5 to 10 years from now, I'm not sure which country I plan on living in, whether it's America or Israel. But the intimacy that I got here is something I'll carry with me forever. Even something as simple as calling professors by their first name, it makes it much easier to approach them, makes it easier to work with them. It makes authority less distant, in a sense that's a skill, or that's something I wish to transfer into the business world or to whatever field I plan on working in. I think it makes communication between individuals much easier, and I think that's a skill or something that's a big part of Israeli society and something I really see at the Technion. Even just talking to professors one-on-one and being closer with them and being able to work with a professor.
That's great to know from the other side as a professor. It's something that you like here. Avital, what about you? Where do you see yourself 5, 10 years from now?
So now I'm actually in my last year of Technion. So I'm actually like deciding what am I going to do now that all this long, like it looked infinite and now it's coming to an end. So I'm actually thinking, okay, what am I going to do now? And I still want to like explore more. As I said, I really enjoyed coming here and getting to know something completely new. So I'm still thinking, okay, I might leave Israel for a while, but I still have something inside is telling me like, but I want to come back.
Great, thank you. Luis, where do you see yourself?
After my undergraduate degree, I wanted to pursue a master's degree. And I believe that here in Technion, I have the opportunity to be part of different research. Technion, it's well known for its research programs and its level of high level of research. And this extra knowledge, will help me in my career.
Thank you. Michal, what are your plans?
So I'm not quite sure where I want to be 5 years from now, whether I do a master's or get a job somewhere. I have time to figure that out. But I think what I'll take from Technion is the approach to problem solving. I really just learned a holistic approach towards math and physics and problems in general that I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else. I guess it's all the theoretical math courses we have to take, which could be annoying sometimes, but actually do give you a holistic approach to math. You see things differently when you know everything around it, I guess. So it's a mentality that I'll take from Technion.
Great, thank you. Thank you all very much for this insightful discussion. I hope you will continue to enjoy our program tonight. Have a wonderful evening.